Good morning. Welcome to Farming Simulator 25, remote and off-grid on the homestead map. So we're in August now. Special offer error BMF. Okay. Well, let's see what that's talking about here. Schemes. Brand demo. 2 months. Yeah, I don't see any use in any of this stuff. A slurry tanker, a manure spreader, and a flatbed trailer. Okay. Now imagine I have quite a bit of harvesting to do today. I do. So I'm going to get the workers going on this while I take care of my produce. Enable swathing. There we go. Grab the other combine and get it going too, since I got two different fields to harvest today. Spread my forks and get to work here. I'm gonna have to do all that straw baling myself, so I'm more than willing to let workers take care of the actual combining. And I'll go ahead, make sure wheat flour, activate that. Still got plenty of canola in there. So I'll leave the canola running. This production used to be like really, really fast. Seems to have been slowed down, which I appreciate, because now it's more realistic that it's, kicking out, one pallet every 2 weeks instead of kicking out 5 pallets a week. Or maybe it's the other version, European, the Polish version, that's just fast and the American version is not. Even though in the description when you go and build it, they list the same work speed, but oh, I forgot to check on my rice. Let's see if I still need to be flooding my rice fields or not. No, at some point you do stop flooding them. Yeah, they no longer need to be flooded. Okay. That's probably the Massey Ferguson that's already almost full. Alright. He has a full tank. Yep, that's the Massey Ferguson. That's to be expected, really. And Blue Dominator's full now, too. Alright, back to loading my produce now. Forever, it's right. Alright, strawberries. Oh, why are you being sticky pallets now? Okay. There we go. Finally fixed the sticky pallet. Yeah, if you push the forks too far in, they'll sometimes stick to the back of the fork or the mast. Alright. 2 pallet goes to the market, and then the 3rd pallet goes into the production. Yeah, I found that by keeping the 3rd pallet in there, by putting, when it produces the 3rd pallet, you know, a couple times a year, that's enough to keep up with the production's needs. There's something about that Dominator. He don't like to park in spots where I can actually get to him. I wonder why there's so few eggs this time. I know real chickens start laying less after about 2 years. I don't think that's the case here in Farming Simulator. Except for the death layers. Although some people usually call them death slayer, but the proper phrase is death layer, who will lay at full production until they die. But their annual production is a lot lower than like a Leghorn or an Isa Brown. Yeah, this guy here, the Massey Ferguson's pretty good about making sure the spout's out where I can get to it. The guy over here in the Cloth Dominator, not so much. Dominator is done. Yeah, if this was a harvesting competition, it definitely would have dominated. Gotta make sure to get 24,000 liters into the silo, and before I start putting off, grain back into the windmill again. I'm hoping I might get a pallet of flour out today. That's the reason why I put the first load into the windmill instead of taking it to the silo. That way I can have noodle soup to sell tomorrow. Go grab the Una mug. Sunflowers are looking good. What the hell? Lawrence! What are you doing in Alaska? You're supposed to be in Michigan. Did somebody unplug the fence again? Literally, that did look like my mule foot. Lawrence. Okay. I believe I have a windrower out here, or did I sell it? Let me double check. No, I do have a windrower. Good. I know at one point I was considering selling it, but I'm glad I didn't. I have to do the baling myself since AI can't do baling. But I can't have the worker windrow it for me, which will make the baling easier for me. Yeah, blocked by an object. That object is me. Stop objectifying me, AI. Alright, 18,600. So only need to put 6,000 more into the silo, which is one load of the Uma mug without the trailer. And then I can take the sorghum out of the silo and grind that into flour. Or I can just leave the sorghum in there, use that up first for the animal feed, and just put less wheat in storage. Yeah, I think I'll do that. That way I don't have multiple productions running. See how much sorghum is left in here. $2,700, so alright, I only need to put no, that's not what I wanted. I was just checking. Alright, put you back. So I need about 3,000 liters of wheat now to finish up. Okay. Yeah, just got issued a flood watch. Yeah, we had a strong thunderstorm roll through here, but for me it was a lot of darkness, a lot of noise, not very much actual wetness. Well, I mean, it was a good amount of rain, but, you know, not as much as you would think from how loud and dark that storm was. Yeah, there was a nice big rotating shelf cloud coming in off the lake. I've told people before about that, you know, how a shelf cloud will come in off of Lake Michigan, and the leading edge of it will be doing like a horizontal rotation. And whenever I told people about this, they always say I was making it up. That doesn't happen, but it does. Oh, I'm lining up on the wrong dump spot. Gotta stop running my mouth and pay attention. But since I'm making a video and not just playing for myself, well, I'm making a video for myself, but I have to keep my mouth running. Okay. So that's chicken feed taken care of for another year. It's doing the gap thing. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but it does. Alright. Okay, hey, our worker's still going down there. I wasn't sure if he was done or not. Looks like he's still going. Alright, I'll see you at the shop. Okay, so we're at 27,000. Let's see where we end up. Alright. So 22 plus 3. So 25,000. Getting to the time of year where the price starts ticking up. Yeah, when I finish this series and I do the power gaming series without the RP elements, I will save greenhouse products to be sold at peak instead of selling them month by month so they don't spoil. Alright, I'll see you when I get back to the farm. Alright, I'm back to the farm now. I didn't realize this, but the parsnips are ready to harvest too. Looks like the worker's done with the windrowing. I'll jump in the Una mug here. I forgot, did I... Oh, prices, so... Wheat. Yep, alright. So I have 24,887 liters of grain to feed chickens. So that's a little bit of a margin. So that's good. But I didn't realize the parsnips are ready to harvest too. So let's go grab my communist harvester. Yeah, the same worker that was running the Dominator, the blue Dominator, the Class 4 Dominator, will be running the communist harvester. But with parsnips, I can drive over the crop safely, so I'm not concerned about his tendency to put the spout on the wrong side when it comes time to unload. Really? Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to do the harvesting myself here. The only other alternative is to try to exit and restart the game, and sometimes that'll fix the AI when it does this, oh, there's no field here thing. Although, it's been a pretty consistent problem with that field. It might be just that field that's a problem. It might be since it's that field is across multiple plots instead of just being on one plot. start doing the watering while. Okay. He seems to have lost his touch about. Yeah, even with the helpers, so-called helping, still doing a lot of running back and forth and around, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to keep up with everything here. Oh, hey, how about that? I have a pallet of flour to go. That means I can have some noodle soup tomorrow and some preserved parsnips. I'm gonna have a lot of produce tomorrow. All right, let's make sure the reserve food factory. All right, parsnip is running. Rice rolls is not running. It doesn't need to be running. And noodle soup is running. All right. Hey! Stop fighting so hard. Yeah, the two black cats, they don't know how to be gentle. They bite and claw too hard. None of the other cats do it, but those two are really, really bad. If you don't correct them when they start, you know, chomping down on you, they will draw blood. pH is good still, so I don't think I'll have to put lime. I gotta think about this, for ordering my supplies for replanting. Although both of these are gonna go to oilseed radish first. Looks like this worker is almost done. Alright, he should be able to finish up before his tank is full again. See, now he's being alert. Now he's holding my skin in his mouth, but he's not chomping down hard enough to hurt. I think he's just trying to mimic how I hold him by trying to hold me back. I need to keep one hand free to work the keyboard. Maybe at some point I should replace this small tank with a big semi-tank, since I do have a semi-truck here to pull it. Filling all this water does get to be tedious. If I can get it all done in like 1 or 2 trips instead of this constantly cycling around thing. Alright, looks like the Massey Ferguson is done harvesting. So I'm going to pause the recording while I finish up watering, and then I'm going to go empty out the Massey Ferguson and be back for dumping the grain into the windmill. Alright, watering is done. Looks like the worker left a couple little puffs of wheat I'll have to pick up. Okay. That's a really small amount of actual grain. It just bothers me seeing the job done poorly. Now, sometimes shit happens and jobs don't turn out the way you would want, but there's no reason to accept a poorly done job when you can fix it easy enough. Okay, it's only 1:30 in game, but I'm coming up close on my 1 hour here. So I'm probably going to go over on this episode. Alright, so I'm gonna have to put a little bit of this wheat over here into the silo. I can always transfer it back later. I think I need like 2 more big fields. Probably put one like right up there and then one off over there. And then maybe one back over that way. By that area where I've been storing my equipment at. Alright, we'll be back when my first load of parsnips are ready to go into the reserve food factory. Alright, got a full load of parsnips ready to go in. Loop around the building, so I put the object on the site side, or the obstacle. I was wondering why I wasn't giving me the tip prompt, is because I had the wrong vehicle selected. Alright, I'll be back for the next load. Okay. Next load is ready to go. I'm beginning to wonder, let me see if all these parsnips will even fit inside the factory. Preserved food. Let's see. Yeah, well, it might be able to fit them all. Now I'm gonna just have to make a stockpile somewhere and buy a front end loader. Maybe the next version of Farming Simulator they'll be able to add textures to harvesting crops instead of just being a skin on a flat plane. Okay. I'll be back for the next load. Alright, next load of parsnips is ready. Alright, so since I'm already well over an hour recording, I'm going to skip until either I'm done for the day or I'm done with this job. However, I'm thinking it's going to be when I'm done for the day. See you then. Alright, it's getting dark in game, so this is going to be my last load for today. Looks like I'm almost halfway through with this field. Not quite, not completely halfway through. Won't be tomorrow, but looks like next month I'll be harvesting my long grain rice. Now I also got to be thinking about my crop plan because I need to start getting stuff replanted too. Alright, I'll just leave the communist harvester out here for the night. Alright, let's see how much is in. Yeah, so it's really going to be close. We're just under half capacity of the preserve food factory and just under half done on the field. I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you very much for watching.